I heard my fiancé tell friends, it's just business. His money, my looks. I texted, your mic's on. Then I canceled the wedding venue and engagement ring payment. She frantically called claiming it was a joke as her credit card declined. I, 32 male, always thought the foundation of my life was solid. Stable career, good friends, and Natalie, 28. We'd been together for 3 years, engaged for 2 months. I thought we were building a future. Turns out, I was just the financier for her project. I came home early on Tuesday. I was going to surprise her with takeout from that place she loves. As I walked in, I heard her laughing from the living room. She was on a video call. The big screen showing her 3 best friends, with Brittany, 28, the maid of honor, front and center. Natalie was holding up her hand, showing off the engagement ring. The one I'd spent weeks designing with a jeweler. They were all gushing. Then Brittany, in that syrupy voice of hers, said, "You really hit the jackpot, Nat. Seriously." And then Natalie, with a laugh I'll never forget. Not a laugh of joy, but of triumph, said the words that vaporized our future. "Please, it's just business. His money, my looks, a fair trade, don't you think?" The other girls giggled. My stomach went hollow. It wasn't the anger that hit me first, it was the cold, a deep, Arctic cold. I didn't storm in, I didn't yell. I walked silently to my home office, shut the door, and pulled out my phone. My hands were perfectly steady. I have our smart home devices linked. I pulled up the living room camera feed on my monitor. I could see her, preening for the camera, basking in their admiration. I sent her a single text. "Me, your mic's on." I watched the screen. I saw her phone light up. I saw her glance down. I saw the blood drain from her face, the confident smirk replaced by a slack-jawed horror. She stammered something to her friends about her mom calling and ended the call abruptly. But I was already working. I didn't have time for a confrontation. Not yet. First, the wedding venue. A beautiful old manor house we'd booked for next September. I called their events coordinator. I knew the contract inside and out. We were past the 90-day full refund window, but still within the period where we'd only lose the deposit. I told her we needed to cancel. She was sympathetic, probably assuming cold feet. 5 minutes later, the cancellation confirmation email arrived. A $5,000 loss. I considered it the best money I'd ever spent. Next, the ring. The custom piece cost $23,050. To manage cash flow, I'd put it on a 6-month payment plan. The first installment of $3,800 had been paid. The next 5 payments were scheduled to hit my account monthly. I logged into the jeweler's secure portal, found the agreement, clicked cancel future payments. An alert popped up, warning me the full remaining balance of $19,250 would become due immediately. I confirmed. The account was solely in my name. The ring was, until paid in full, their property. I heard her footsteps approaching the office door, hesitant and quick. She knocked. "Dylan? Baby? You won't believe the stupidest thing Brittany just said." I didn't answer. I just swiveled my chair around to face her as she opened the door. I held up my phone and showed her the subject line of the email from the venue. Confirmation of wedding cancellation. Her face, already pale, went ashen. She opened her mouth to speak, but was interrupted by a notification on her own phone. A loud, jarring ping. She looked down. It was a fraud alert from her credit card company. "My card was just declined," she whispered, confused. She'd been trying to buy a new laptop. "That's impossible. You transferred the money this morning." "I did," I said, my voice even. "And then I transferred it back. Call it a business decision." Update. 2 weeks later. It's been an interesting couple of weeks. The initial shock has worn off, and now the active manipulation has begun. Natalie's narrative has shifted. The "it was a joke" defense lasted about 5 hours, only to be replaced by a campaign to paint me as a volatile, controlling monster who flew off the handle at a little locker room talk between girlfriends. She's been texting, calling, leaving voicemails that swing wildly between tearful apologies and furious demands. The climax was last Friday. She showed up at my apartment, the one we were supposed to move into together after the wedding, but which, thankfully, is only in my name. I let her in. I wanted to see this play out. She'd been crying, but it looked performed. Her eyes were red, but her words were calculated. "You're really gonna throw 3 years away over one stupid sentence?" she began, pacing my living room. I was just trying to sound cool for Brittany. You know how she is. It was a performance. Was it a performance when you met my parents? I asked, keeping my voice low. When you told them you saw a future with their son? Or was that just part of the negotiation? See, this is what you do, she snapped, pointing a finger at me. You twist everything to make me the villain. I have spent months of my life planning this wedding. Do you have any idea how much work that is? The caterers, the floral arrangements, the seating charts, all that time, all that energy. You owe me for that. My therapist says this has caused me significant emotional distress, and I'm entitled to compensation for my labor. I just looked at her. Your therapist said that? Or Brittany said that? While this was happening, a new front had opened up. Brittany, ever the loyal friend, had started a group chat with about 15 of our mutual friends. The chat was titled, Support for Natalie. In it, she was spinning a tale of my supposed financial abuse and emotional instability. A few people, the ones closer to them, were eating it up, sending heart emojis and offering to take Natalie out for drinks. I refused to engage. Instead, I took a methodical approach. The ring. Natalie had, predictably, refused to return the ring. She called it a gift, and said she was keeping it as collateral for my erratic behavior. So I drafted a polite, formal email. To Natalie, subject, return of unpaid engagement ring. Hi Natalie. Per our last conversation, I am formally requesting the return of the custom engagement ring, item XXX, to jeweler's name. As you know, the payment plan for the ring has been canceled, leaving an outstanding balance of $19,250. Until this balance is paid, the ring remains the legal property of the jeweler. Please arrange for its safe return within 10 business days. Failure to do so may result in the jeweler pursuing action to reclaim their property. Regards, Dylan. I attached a PDF of the financing agreement, where my name was clearly the only one listed as the responsible party. The finances. She mentioned the money I transfer her. She has her own part-time job, but I've been supplementing her income significantly. I went through my bank records for the past year. I created a simple spreadsheet. I listed every transfer I'd made to her account. Most were for shared costs. The monthly sum for her credit card was there too. I labeled it monthly gift. I also highlighted the $6,500 I had loaned her for her car's down payment, which had a clear email chain where we both explicitly referred to it as a loan she'd pay back after the wedding. I attached the email chain. I sent the entire spreadsheet to her. No angry text, just the data. I titled the email Financial Records for Your Review. The friends, I didn't respond in the group chat. I didn't defend myself. I simply forwarded the short 15-second clip from my smart home security camera to two of my closest friends, Jordan and Rose. The clip had no audio of what she said. It just showed Natalie's face in the moments after she read my text. The smugness vanishing, the frantic, wide-eyed panic, the desperate fumbling to end her video call. I sent it with no comment. The quiet approach is, I'm finding, far more effective. A tantrum can be dismissed. A spreadsheet is harder to argue with. Update 2. 1 month later, things have escalated, just not in the way Natalie or Brittany expected. My quiet paper trail has started yielding results. The jeweler, having been CC'd on my email, contacted Natalie directly. They formally informed her that she had two options: pay the outstanding $19,250 balance immediately, or return the ring to them. Her credit, which was already strained from her habit of living right at her limit, is now completely shot. The canceled laptop purchase was just the beginning. Without my monthly gift, her debt-to-income ratio is a disaster. She can't get a loan for the ring, and she can't afford to pay for it. The clock is ticking. The video clip I sent to Jordan and Rose did its job. They didn't spread it around, but they did calmly talk to a few other people in the Support for Natalie chat. They didn't share the video, they just described it. They described the cold calculation in her eyes that I had seen. The group chat has since gone silent. The tide of social opinion, it seems, has turned. This brings me to Brittany. Enraged that her role as Natalie's champion was failing, she decided to take things to another level. She went on my company's public-facing Facebook page and left a 1-star review. It was cleverly worded to avoid being outright libelous, but the implication was clear. She used phrases like unethical business practices, manipulative leadership, and a culture of deceit that starts at the top. Since I'm in a senior position, it was clearly aimed at me. This was a mistake, a big one. I also remembered something Natalie had once complained about. Brittany runs a so-called graphic design business from her one-bedroom apartment. In reality, she sells knockoff luxury goods, handbags, shoes, scarves, through private social media groups. Natalie once mentioned how Brittany's apartment was always overflowing with boxes, so much so that she worried about the fire hazard. She keeps them in the hallway. It's insane, she'd said. My response was two-pronged and entirely bureaucratic. The defamatory review. I didn't reply to the post. I didn't flag it. I took a screenshot and forwarded it, along with screenshots of Brittany's messages from the Support for Natalie group chat to my company's HR department. I wrote a calm, professional email. Subject: harassment from a personal acquaintance. To the HR team, I am writing to report a situation involving a personal acquaintance, Brittany, who is posting defamatory reviews about our company online. This appears to be retaliation related to a private, non-work matter. I have attached screenshots of the review and related messages for your records. I wanted to create a documented paper trail to protect both myself and the company's reputation. Please let me know if you require further information. Best, Dylan. Our corporate legal team does not mess around when it comes to things like this. Within 48 hours, a formal cease and desist letter, printed on heavy law firm letterhead, was dispatched to Brittany's address, demanding the immediate removal of the review and a cessation of all further defamatory comments. The apartment, Brittany's business social media profile, is public. I scrolled through it. Sure enough, there were dozens of photos of her posing with her wares, and in the background, her apartment was clearly visible. In one shot, where she was showing off a pair of garish, poorly stitched sneaker knockoffs on her new rug, the distinctive logo of her apartment building's management company was visible on a leasing sign out the window. I recognized the property management company. They're one of the largest in the city and are notorious for being sticklers. I went to their main website. Under the Residents tab was a small link, Report a Lease Violation. It led to an anonymous online form. I filled it out. I stated I was a concerned citizen who had noticed a large volume of boxes and foot traffic that suggested an undeclared commercial enterprise. I attached the public screenshots from Brittany's own social media as evidence. I specifically mentioned my concern about unlabeled inventory boxes potentially blocking egress in hallways and cited a potential fire code violation. I was just a concerned citizen, after all. The system is a fascinating thing. You don't have to break it, you just have to use it as intended. Final update. The ring is gone, the best friend is gone, and I'm just at peace. 3 months later. It's over. Not with a bang, but with the quiet hum of consequences running their course. Natalie, the jeweler's legal threats became too much for her. About a month ago, she tried to stage one last dramatic confrontation. She texted me saying she was coming over to give back the ring and the part of her soul I had stolen. I imagine she pictured a tearful, screaming fight on my doorstep. I didn't give her the satisfaction. I didn't answer the door. Instead, I called the building's concierge, informed him a package was being dropped off for me, and asked him to hold it. He texted me when a small, unmarked box was left in his care. I had a courier pick it up and deliver it directly to the jeweler the next morning. I never even touched it. Natalie sent a flurry of enraged texts calling me a coward and saying I'd ruined her life over a few stupid words. I've since learned from a mutual acquaintance that she has moved back in with her parents, 2 hours away. The matter of the $6,500 loan for her car's down payment is now being handled by a small claims service. It's a simple contractual matter, just tying up a final loose end. Brittany. The property management company for her building acted swiftly on the tip. They conducted a routine fire safety inspection and, to no one's surprise, found her in flagrant violation of her lease agreement. It wasn't just the undeclared business. It was the stacks of flammable cardboard boxes, the blocked hallway Brittany had created inside her own unit, and a host of other issues. They served her with a 30-day notice to cure or quit. Predictably, she couldn't dismantle her entire illegal operation in a month, so she was forced to quit. She had to scramble to find a new place and move all her knockoff merchandise. The cease and desist letter from my company's lawyers seems to have terrified her into silence. Her online presence has vanished. The fallout, the story in its quiet and factual form, has made its way through our old social circle. Most people saw the situation for what it was, a calculated betrayal that backfired. A few who initially sided with Natalie have quietly disappeared from my life. It doesn't feel like a loss. It feels like a filtration. I won't lie and say this was an easy process. There were nights I'd just lie awake and stare at the ceiling, mourning a future that had only ever existed in my mind. The betrayal stung, not because of the money, but because of its casualness. The ease with which she reduced our life together to a simple transaction. It made me question my own judgment, my ability to see people for who they are. But taking these quiet, methodical steps wasn't about revenge. It was about restoring order. It was about taking a chaotic, painful situation and handling it with the calm and logic she believed I lacked. Each email sent, each form filled out, felt like closing a door firmly and quietly, not slamming it in a rage. It was a declaration that my life, my finances, and my future were my own, not assets to be traded for looks. I'm not dating. I'm enjoying the silence in my apartment. I'm having dinner with Jordan and Rose, the friends who trusted my character over dramatic accusations. I'm putting in extra hours at work, not as an escape, but because I enjoy what I do. I have no idea what Natalie and Brittany are telling people now. I'm sure in their version of the story, they are the wronged parties, the victims of a cold, vengeful man. And that's fine. Let them have their story. My business with them is concluded.